Hi, this is the Coaching Game. I'm Laurie Lawson, and my guest tonight is Millie Grenough. Hey, Millie.
Hi, Laurie.
We were trying to think. Millie did my show a long time ago. We couldn't remember when. We think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was thrilled with a concept that she had that she created called Oasis, and she's got even more Oasis. So. She's going to tell us all about that. First, let me tell you a little bit about the coaching game. The coaching game is designed on points of view, the coaching game. And this is one of the best coaching tools I've ever seen that is designed to bring right and left brain thinking together. And there's a series of 65 cards. And I asked Millie to choose one, and she did pretty good. She only chose one. And it's the quite colorful choice, and we're going to find out what role that plays in her life also. Millie is I know how we can tell when you were on the show. When were you Connecticut Coach of the Year?
2010.
I thought so.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I remember because I had her
Yeah.
on, and she was the Connecticut Coach of the Year in 2010, so that's when
Yeah.
it was. Millie is a speaker, trainer, and a coach, and I will also say she's quite an author because she's got a couple of books out that are pretty good. So, Millie, tell us, what is this Oasis thing that I keep talking about?
Well, I'll tell you about Oasis, and I also wanted to say a point of you. That's how I met you, because you came to
Oh
Connecticut.
my gosh, this is like old home week. Sorry,
Yeah.
hang in there.
And I loved how you presented to us.
Yes,
and
I
came up to
remember
you,
that.
and then you invited me to go. So my card that I chose is choice, and I'm choosing to be here with you because I like you and I love
you.
what I'm doing, which is Oasis. So shall I tell you how it began?
You've got a story to tell. Tell
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Well, I was one of the people who is like many of us who was in the fast lane. I was doing so many things, and this was a while back. I had just married for the first time, had begun my own business, had just finished an internship, was really grueling. And in the marriage, I inherited 3 teenage stepsons. So it was a little bit of a few changes going
Just
on.
a few.
But I thought I was handling everything balanced because that's what I try to do. And my buddy Joe asked me it was a beautiful sunny day in July. He said, Millie, would you like to go for a bike ride? And I only had 5 things to do that day, so I thought, sure, put the bike on the
slow
car.
day.
Yeah, the kids are taken care of, my husband's okay, my work is, So I put the bike on the car, drove out about 42 miles to Deep River, Connecticut, which is a wonderful place to go biking. And I still don't know what happened. Joe thinks I hit a pothole and was thrown over the handlebars. And he was terrified because I didn't move. He thought I was dead. And then he tells me later, oh, you'll live, but you'll be a vegetable.
Oh my
so
gosh.
He didn't tell me this till much later, thankfully.
Oh, okay. That was his second thought. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And it was before cell phones. So he didn't know, should he go look for something, stay with me, what? And finally, somebody passed by on this country road, and they got me to the green at Deep River, which is population maybe 2,000, and a Lifestar helicopter flew me the 42 miles to Yale New Haven emergency room. And I came to consciousness only once during that time, and I remember vividly the whir of the helicopter in the hands of the EMT woman. And I thought, she's good. And I know that made a crucial difference in how I recovered. The ER was a different story. Have you ever been a patient in the ER?
Unfortunate. Well, admitting, yes.
Yeah,
it's
it was like not at all nice.
That's where you want to be unconscious.
Oh, right. And I came to, and I heard myself saying, hand, hand, and nobody paid any attention. They wouldn't let Joe in because he wasn't family. My husband was out of state. Finally, the 3rd time, there was a candy striper holding my hand. But it felt weird because she was wearing rubber gloves.
Oh,
So I said, skin. So the whole time in the ER was a real radical learning for me I worked at that time in the mental health division of that hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And what I noticed is that the people who really paid attention to me were the paraprofessionals. Like the orderly was the one who looked at my hospital bracelet, looked at me and said, Mildred, Mildred. And I thought, God, there's a human being here.
Yeah.
And that night when I was out of it again, it felt like a tropical breeze near me. Came up and said, how you doing, honey? It was the housekeeper, right?
Well, isn't that interesting?
So the next morning when I was out of it again, and you're in that surreal state, it looked like a bunch of penguins in front of me with charts. And I heard the chief penguin say, female, bicycle accident, ruptured kidney, 3 concussions. And I thought, oh, that must be me. But he didn't say, good morning, Miss Grenough, good morning, Millie. Yeah. So that whole experience was like, I'm very hard-headed, so I think I had to crack my head open to get this message that it's really important to take care of ourselves so that when we're doing whatever we're doing, we're present for that. So it was in my backyard hammock, 3 months I couldn't work. I had time to hang out with those big questions like, who am I? And what am I on this earth for?
Wow.
And you know how we get so busy doing our things.
I do.
Yeah. So I realized that when I went back to work, unless I found simple ways to keep me grounded and in balance, I'd get right back in the rat race and lose the balance.
Yeah.
So that's where the word Oasis in the Overwhelm began. And I've been doing it since then and love doing it with all kinds of people because we're all in the overwhelm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a radically positive spin on a cracked head, I have to say.
Right.
But it's like, my theory is that if your mind isn't smart enough to slow you down, your body's going to do it.
Yes.
And every time I've been sick, it's like I needed to slow down.
Right.
And physically, I got ill because I wouldn't listen. It's like, oh, but I could do one more thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're so ambitious and driven, and we care.
Yeah.
And passionate. However, sometimes the body says, we're not going to let you.
That's it. I'm tired now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop doing it. I love your insight on the fact that the people that were helping you were the paraprofessionals.
Yeah.
And that there's a whole movie out about a doctor who becomes ill and he realizes how the system is and how he's been treating patients also because they're in the like you said, everybody's in the overwhelm.
Yes, everybody.
So what'd you do about it?
What did I do then? What do I do now?
I know. What'd you do then? And now you can tell us how you follow up.
What I did then was to develop what I call these simple 60-second strategies because I knew I didn't have time to take off and go on long retreats. We didn't have a lot of money. I couldn't jet away to St. Martin's every month,
Right.
So what could I do that would help my mental, emotional, physical, spiritual self be nourished? And I really thought about all the gifts that I had been given. I lived in Latin America for 3 years and got so much wisdom from the people there. I trained with Alana Rubenfeld, who was one of the early body-mind people.
Wow.
And these people who had taught simple things, and I was able to package them in a way. It's not that I created how you breathe, how you move your body, but into 4 really simple, usable strategies that you could use almost anytime, anywhere.
Really? Oh, so you don't have to go into a room with candles and darkened lights.
I did it on the subway here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there was like, will I find a seat? The train was late. And people tell me they do it you're stuck in traffic, you can do one. It's just to take that really pause that helps you reset and come to balance and see what's really here.
Yeah. You know what? I want to tell people what is available out there from you. So, because I know you gave me a fantastic, I guess it's a book. Yeah. So, what is out there that they can get? And then we'll
There's
keep
the
talking about it.
original book, which is Oasis and the Overwhelm, that has the whole theory. I'm so happy that after I began doing this, all the neuroscience of the brain came out after that.
Isn't that amazing?
And verified
What a
that what I was
pioneer you
doing.
were, yes.
So it includes the 4 basic strategies, examples how to use them, how clients use them, and a lot of the summary of the research. Richard Davidson's neuroscience. Thich Nhat Hanh I got to spend a week with the year
Wow.
after my bicycle accident, and this was 20 years ago. You know, so
Amazing.
all these things are in that Oasis and the Overwhelm book. And then there's the Oasis 28-Day Guide, which I co-wrote with 2 of the coaches who did training with me and said, Millie, we want to do a workbook journal so that people week by week can put these strategies into their life.
Is it cumulative? I mean, do you do one? It is. Okay.
Well,
And then
you
the
could
next week you
do-
could do 2.
Sure. I mean, you could
Yeah.
do it any way you want, but as you know, with habits and practice, it's like if you want to ride a bicycle, you don't do it immediately or learn a new tennis serve. The more you practice it with consciousness, the more it grows. So that's helpful for focusing on one of the strategies and really making it your own. So
Yeah.
that's the 28-Day Guide. I have a DVD that's a video of me demonstrating the different
Oh,
strategies
nice,
and the
nice.
variations on the strategies, which are a kick.
I'm sure, because
Yeah.
I know Millie has very interesting talks and sessions, and she sings, she dances, she does all kinds of crazy things, and, just to have a little fun. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, can you, without giving away the entire premise, can you just give us an idea of what, like, one might be?
Yes, I'll take one that is one of, well, all 4 of my favorites, but I may have done the 1 stone with you. We
In fact,
just
the book that I got came with a lovely
with the little stone
Yeah,
with
I
it.
loved it. Yeah.
And anybody could do it, even if you're watching right now. If you have a stone, if you have a penny, if you have a piece of paper, you can do
Which
it with
we do. We should.
anything. My cough drop wrapper.
Yeah, there you go.
And the deal on this, I learned this one from Thich Nhat Hanh. He said a lot of times when people meditate, they think they have to close their eyes and go away to a peaceful place. This
With a
one is
blank
not
mind.
that.
Yeah,
no,
I can't do it. I've
well,
tried
and it's
so
not
many
about
times,
blanking
yeah.
out your mind, because our minds think.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So he taught this to us and said, now just look at this. Just look at this. See, what colors is it? How much does it weigh? What's the temperature? And then what he invited us to do was, with the eyes open, just breathe in and out slowly 10 times. We won't do it now 10
Right.
times.
That's boring to watch people breathe.
Oh,
yes.
right. But I'll tell you a story of one person I did it with, because I've done it with 5-year-olds, 95-year-olds, but executives. I love doing it with executives. And usually at the beginning, I didn't say words like mindfulness or meditation, because 15 years ago, that
was
wasn't
considered
in.
way out there.
No,
Yeah.
it was like focus and how can you get your bottom line better?
Exactly.
So I was at the inauguration for the new president of this big organization, and his wife came up to me and said, Millie, I hear that you're a coach and you do stress management. Can you help my husband? And I said, sure, I'll be glad to if you want to introduce me. So she
wanna just walk
introduced
up.
me. Yeah. So he says, Millie, are you a member of the group? And I said, yeah. Oh, good. What do you do? And I said, teach stress management. And he said, oh, stress management. I'm a type AA personality. I don't have time for that.
A challenge.
Yeah.
A real
and
challenge.
I said, and he doesn't mind if I tell this story now. I said, Tony, I don't want you to lose your fire. I want you to use it. Because I knew, she had told me that he had 2 heart attacks in his 40s.
Wow.
And he had teenage children that he wanted to see them grow up.
Yeah.
So I said, use your fire. Tony not losing. He said, okay, Millie, okay. Nothing. But about a month later, I get a phone call from him, and he says, okay, I have an hour, Millie. Can I come in? So he came in.
De-stress me.
Yeah.
I got
So
60
he's
minutes here.
very quick. He got all 4 strategies just like
gosh.
that. And I thought, okay, is he using them? Is he not using them? I meet him downtown about a month later. He shakes my hand. Millie, how's it going? He has the stone in his hand.
How cool.
Yeah. He says, yeah, it reminds me to chill with Mill.
Well, that's got to be the name of your next book.
Maybe.
Chill with Mill.
Chill with
I
Mill.
love that.
And that
What a
was
great
many years ago,
story.
and he still has that stone. It's just the little reminder about those key questions of who am I, and right this minute, what am I here for? When I
Yeah.
taught presentation skills to the Foxwood CEO and 15 VPs, we did it.
Really?
The same question. Who am I right this instant? And what am I here for right this instant? It's to be with you.
Yeah. And I try, I'm working hard, like I said, because meditation has been a goal of mine for a long time, and I just can't do it. And I get, I go, just do 5 minutes. I can't do it. I can't, my head won't stop. But what I'm trying to do is practice mindfulness.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because even when I give the instructions, it's like, look at the stone, eyes open. If your mind goes somewhere else, don't fuss at it, because that's what our minds do.
Yes, they're
Just
all over
bring
the
it
place.
back.
Bring
Yeah.
it back. And I love the idea of a stone. And if you don't have a stone, anything will work. Just something that will get your attention and keep it where it could be. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. So, who do you do with? Do people know they're stressed out? Do they go, Millie, unstress me?
Well, it's really ironic because there's so much stress now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people think they're so stressed that they don't have time to do this.
I'm one of them.
Right?
Yeah, it's like I
Right.
don't have time to meditate. I'm too crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting, when I do a group or a workshop. I was with the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Officers.
Whoa,
I was
okay.
invited to come in.
Talk about stress.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But it was interesting when I asked them what their major stressors were. They were slightly different than what I expected. It was intercommunication in the department.
I would expect that.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
a lot, and that was sometimes more intense than being on the street. But it was a combination. And so your question, do people know they're stressed?
I mean, it looks like
Sometimes.
Tony's wife knew he was stressed.
Yes.
Did Tony know he was stressed? No.
It
Tony
was like a badge
in
of
full
honor.
function.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm working
Look
hard.
how many things I can get done today.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
often, and that is a lot of the mentality. And it's interesting that the medical profession is beginning to catch up and recognize that, oh yes, it is a factor in heart attacks. It's 80% of major illnesses have something to do with stress, so,
Right.
and $300 billion a year is lost in businesses because of stress factors.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so when people begin to get not only how it's affecting my health, my relationships, my interactions with everybody, it's like, oh, it's affecting the dollar too,
Yeah.
and effectiveness, my sense of satisfaction in accomplishing something that I feel good about and can still have a life.
I love it. I can see on an individual basis. I hope we all have awakenings, and I hope none are as severe as yours. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a wild
Yes.
awakening that you
Yeah.
had, but thank heavens, because look what it created.
Yeah.
But in companies, I'm just wondering, who identifies, okay, you know what, all my VPs could use this slow down mentality and take a breath. Usually it's the whip and move it on, keep moving. Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
And to, quote, get it into corporations is a challenge.
I would think that you've managed to do that.
Yeah.
And wow. So what else are you doing with this? Not that I'm pushing you to do more.
Well, I love, many people have done workshops with me and then wanted to get it more in depth. So that's when I began the Oasis training,
I
which
like
is
that.
14 hours with me. And if you're a coach, ICF coach gives 14 CEUs when you do my whole
Cool.
training. And I've had nurses, IT people, managers, execs, police, veterans, people working with vets. And now I've done it in person and teletraining. There are now over 100 trainers, and they're in throughout the U.S. and in New Zealand,
There's over 100 trainers?
Panama, and
Trained by
Puerto
you?
Rico. Trained by me.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
and
amazing.
It's my mission to get it in every continent in the world.
And how many countries so far?
Well, 4 continents actually, so
That's
not too many
very
left.
impressive,
And I
really.
presented in Myanmar, in Burma, last year to a group of health workers. So, and Fiona is in New Zealand doing it. Cecile wants to take it to Europe, so who knows?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fantastic. And what's interesting and sad is that it seems like stress is universal. It's like, and not knowing how to
Yeah.
slow it down or
Yeah.
just stop it if you
Right.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what country or how developed the country. You could blame it on the United States with all the
No,
technology,
no,
but
everywhere.
It seems, yeah, there's
it's-
always a performance thing. Do more, do more, do more.
And the amount of unrest and violence that is in the world now is like
Yeah.
background, underlying static that, whether or not we're conscious of it, is affecting us every second. You know?
It seems, it seems
Yeah.
to be. I mean, and it seems that it's coming to light. It's like with the police department, like you said. It's interesting that you did that.
Yeah.
Because they could sure use it now.
Absolutely.
chill,
Yeah.
chill with Mill, because it's like
Yeah,
we're getting
yeah.
crazy here. So it's interesting
Yeah.
that you were. It seems like you're one step ahead of the trend, and that's just amazing. Has it always been that way, or can we blame that on your bicycle accident?
Well, I think I've always been slightly a rebel. You know a
Okay.
little bit about my background.
Yeah.
I'll just throw in a couple of things. That I was a nun for 8 years, 7 years, 8 years.
She
And
goes, "Can you
then-
pick me out of this picture?" And they're all nuns. I'm going, I guess she was a nun. Yes.
But that got me to South America, and so many wonderful people that I met and who influenced me. It's amazing. And then I had my wild and crazy years, lived in Spain,
We all
studied,
did.
and sang in nightclubs. And there's something about me, when I left the convent and I knew I had to leave, thankfully the woman asked me, and this is kind of back to the choice question.
Yeah, we never got around to the choice.
Yeah.
It really is fascinating. She
Well,
really is choice. Okay.
It's like I knew I had to leave, but I had no idea what I was going to do. So she had the wisdom to ask, what has ever made you happy? And I had to think for 2 weeks
Wow.
to come up with something that made me happy. And it's somewhat ironic that what I came up with was doing music with people. And that was true of me in Latin America, and I had been very shy growing up, but there was something that wanted to do more. So whenever I do trainings or workshops, people are singing with me. In fact, I'll do one of the warm-ups that I do with people. I
okay.
ask them to stand up and I say, me, 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 me. Will you do it?
Oh, sure.
Me, 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 me. You, 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 you.
You. Oh, together.
We. Us, 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 us. So by then the whole room was up and they're doing me, you, we. And I said, what are the words? Me, you, we. Which one is first? So
There's a lesson in everything. Yes.
if you don't take care of you, what happens? So
I like that.
I always weave in and like you gotta accent.
I've seen
Wait,
you.
the
I've seen you in
positive,
action on that
eat,
one.
live. The negative, and it's all about choice, because every second, like I could be miserable here with you, Laurie. I could say, oh God, I wonder if this show's going to be, I wonder if anybody's going to watch us. I wonder,
And
like,
if I'm going to make a fool of myself.
yeah.
That's so funny. The first show I ever did, I was a guest on Coach World TV. And I was so nervous, and I couldn't believe it. And I said, I said to myself, I said, Lord, you have a choice. You can ruin this whole experience by being nervous, or you can have fun. I went, oh, I choose fun.
Yeah.
I'll have fun. And after that, it was like, that's
It's-
it. I'm just going to have fun.
And it's every second, every minute we
Yes.
have that choice.
And it's so, I see so many people who feel like, oh my God, I'm stuck and I don't have any choice, and this is no options. And it's like, always an option.
Yeah.
Always an option.
Even people who are miserably, however you want to say it, ill, whatever. My best friend right now has pancreatic cancer, and she's a model of choosing to live.
Yeah.
And every
fulfill each moment with as many cool things as you can.
yeah. So
When these last 2.5 minutes, what I know doesn't go fast. It's like we need another Millie part 2. What would you tell the audience? What would you tell your clients? What are some? You've had wonderful pieces of wisdom. I love the song. What comes first? Me. Okay.
yeah, you know,
I like Chill with Mill. I'm
Chill
going
with
to
Mill.
remember that. Chill with Mill.
I think just even if right this instant or when you finish watching this, just take 1 minute to be with you and breathe. And I say to begin with an exhale, because it just
Cleans you out.
blows out all the stinky stuff.
Yeah.
And nature abhors a vacuum. So take in the fresh and just feel how fortunate you are, I am, to be alive and well
Yeah.
and safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, what am I here for? What do I do with this energy?
Now that I've recognized my talents and my fortunes, what do I do with them?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And I love that, and that's the hard thing, is I think that's the hardest question I ask as a coach. Is like, well, what do you want? And people go, and they just don't know.
Right.
And it's like, okay, take
They
your
can tell
time.
you 20 things they don't want.
Oh, they always know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
this is what I don't want. But
bounce
it's like, well,
off of
what
that.
do you want? And I like that. What made you happy? And if
Yeah.
it takes you 2 weeks, well, hey, take 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
you got the time, hopefully,
Yeah.
and can get it done. So people can get in touch with you at Millie Grenough, which is on the bottom of the screen, milliegrenaugh.com. And as she tells me, spell my name like enough. G-R-E.
GR enough.
G-R enough, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have anything coming up?
I have a training coming up, and they probably one in May and one in the fall.
Oh, great.
And
Okay.
I have a couple of workshops. I'm going to Buffalo to speak to a national conference. I love going to conferences to be the keynote, so call me on that. And
Okay.
I'm coaching by phone and in person. And some people are graduating in the next month and a half, so get on my list. And yeah.
All of this can be done on your website.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I just have to. I love talking to you. I always learn something new. I'm so thrilled you came on the coaching game. I want to thank you for coming on and tell you you've got an open invitation. Thank you, Millie.
Thank you, Laurie.